Mr. Speaker.
I call Aupito William Sio.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. There are a lot of people to be acknowledged that helped to bring this report here, including the sponsors. But I do want to single out two people. I want to thank Dr. Kennedy Graham. As others have said, I think you've been the driving force in bringing us together. But I also want to thank you in particular because you've taken every opportunity with our international guests to share with them what is happening around the Pacific region. And I really appreciate that because that's a key component in the work that we've got to do in addressing climate change here in New Zealand. I do want to acknowledge the Minister, Paula Bennett, the Minister of Climate Change, for being willing to have this debate. Because I think if she wasn't willing, we would not be here talking in this manner, bipartisan or multi-partisan, addressing an issue which I believe is one of the defining issues of our lifetime. It isn't going to go away. It is going to get worse. It is real. Look, I've been told tonight, Mr. Speaker, that most of us won't be able to leave Wellington. The airport is closed down due to fog, and it is likely that myself and others will leave tomorrow. Last year, when I visited Kiribati on a climate change mission, I was stranded because there was fog above the airport. It was flooded on the runway, and for 4 days we were stranded there. And the Pacific is somewhere that we need to look, sir, in order to anticipate what is coming our way. You see, unlike the Pacific, we are fortunate that we have this landmass. We have mountains. There are Pacific Island countries, sir, that will be underwater, and the science show this. Dr. Nunn is well known in the Pacific region, who is a professor of geography and has studied the region in the last 25 years, has said that by 2070 to 2100, islands such as Tokelau, Tuvalu, Kiribati, and the Marshall Islands will be underwater. Now, I want people just to think about that, because this report, sir, is a report based on what the whole world has agreed upon, and in terms of the Paris Agreement, this report gives us some scenarios of what this country ought to take. Now, I've heard some of the members talk about things that individually we can do, and yes, there are things that we can do. But the reality, sir, this issue, to address it meaningfully, requires political will at the highest leadership level. At the highest leadership level, sir. And it requires governments, present and future governments, to act on it. Now, others, I feel a sense of urgency about it, because this report highlights, if we continue doing what we've always done merrily down the road, we will be off track. We will be off track. It suggests some things that we can take now in order to reduce our emissions, and it requires us signaling right now, signaling what type of action we will take in order to transition from fossil fuel, from the using of oil, from the using of coal, from polluting our environment, transitioning to renewable energy. It requires us transitioning now from the way that we currently use our land for agriculture into more forestation in our land, and the using of new technology, be more innovative. It requires us moving from gas-polluted vehicles to electrical vehicles. That requires leadership, sir. So if we want to know what will come our way in terms of hotter, wetter, drier climates, look to the Pacific, because they're experiencing climate change right now. And one of the leadership roles that I would ask this government and future governments to entertain and to act upon is we need to develop a plan, a climate change plan, not just for New Zealand, but also for this Pacific region. Nobody else is talking about that, sir. But right now in the Pacific, we have islands outside of Tuvalu, islands that are part of Kiribati that are underwater. They are migrating and putting a lot of pressure on those small island states. What will we do in 2070 when 12,000 people Tuvalu are at our doorstep, 112,000 people from Kiribati at our doorstep. If we can't fix our problems, how can we help those people?
Mr. Speaker.
I call Julianne Genter.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.